Okay, we are continuing with our hand sewing project. Where we left off in the last video is that we were continuing to stitch around our line with the back stitch. So I'm going to show you, if you can see, I did all that. It's kind of hard to see because it's blue on blue, but if you look at the back, you can see it as well. So that's all back stitched. Now you'll notice that the back has loose threads. That's where my knots are. Okay, so you need to pick a side for it to be your back, and all of your knots want to be on the same side. I didn't finish with the back stitch. I have about 1 inch left, and I thought I would just review very quickly how to do the back stitch. So again, you're going to start, and you're going to do it on your line. You're going to start on the left, go until you get to the end of the thread, and then you go to your right, okay? And again, the picture on the directions really is helpful, but you're always going and starting on the left and going to the right. So now what I'm gonna do, this is kind of hard to see because I have the camera in front of me, okay? But if you see, I'm going here and I'm gonna meet the stitch that I just did. Okay, so I'm going to make it back over here. So that's why it's a back stitch, because I'm going backwards. Again, I'm going to do, okay, go to the left. So see how I'm here? All right, and you can even see it backwards. All right. And then I'm going to go back to where that last stitch was. And you want to be careful and make sure that you don't have any loopy messes or anything, that you're pulling the thread all the way through, okay? So you don't want any extra except for where that knot is, where all the knots are. Now, just so you know, this didn't take me too long, but again, I know how to sew, so it might take you guys a little bit extra, but I used 4 arms length. So I had to rethread my needle 4 times to do this. Okay, you might need a little bit extra, you might need a little bit less, but I want you to know that all of my stitches are pretty close to the same size, and that's what we want. Okay, and now I've gotten to where my 2 pins are, so I've now gone all the way around. All right, and then hopefully you can see that again. Here's the other side. All right, so I can take these pins out, and that's where my opening is. I'm going to put them in my pin cushion. Now, in order to finish, you want to do a finishing knot. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can go and make one last stitch, okay? And then what you want to do is on the back, you're going to make a loop. Okay, so you want to make a loop and leave the loop this time. Bring it back and then put your needle through it. Okay. The other way I always show kids, and I'm going to have to put it down to show you because you have to do it on a flat surface, is when you do this. Okay, you make a circle. All right, you see how there's a circle of thread? You put your needle through the circle, okay? And you see how there's a knot here. You're going to put your finger over the knot and pull. And the knot stays where your finger is. If you don't put your finger down, it's just going to crawl all the way up your thread. So I'll show you again. Make a circle. Pull the needle through the circle, okay? You can pull it taut. There's my knot. And I'm going to pull, all right? So you can use the one on the directions or you can use that one. I prefer that one. So now I have a finished hand sewn mask. So number 8 was to tie the knot, all right? And then now we're going to go to step 9, which is under trimming for the hand sewing. So what you're going to do is clip along each corner. Be careful not to cut the stitching. So I have to be very careful because you see my stitching, if you see on this side, my stitching is very close to the edge. So it's just a small cut at the corner. Okay, so you're going to do all 4 corners, being very careful not to cut the thread because you do not want a hole in the mask. You also want to make sure that all of your stitches are very tight and close because you don't want air coming through. You want it to be a nice tight stitch. Okay, so now we have our scraps and we'll want to throw those away. Okay, and then if you have any loose threads, this is step 10. You're going to want to just cut them. Some of them are going to pull right off, but like see, here's my knots. So you can just kind of trim. I think I'm pretty good. This one I'll cut off. Again, you want to be careful that you don't cut anything on your sewing. Okay, so there's my mask. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn the mask right side out. Okay, so you might need some help with this. So if you have a pencil or something to get the corners, but this is why we left that hole. Okay, so you're going to take it and flip it around. So now I have the nice side of the pattern showing. And with the corners, you can get your finger through and just push the corners out. Again, if it's kind of tough for you to do, you can use a little pencil. Okay. All right. And now you have it all clean. You don't see any of the stitching, you don't see any of my knots or any of my loose threads. And then I have this hole that I'm gonna need to close up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna demonstrate it in the next video for you, okay?